G'day, welcome to Catalyst. Earlier in the year, we brought you a special episode on fatherhood. We saw how men's bodies might be primed by their partner's pregnancy to take on the role of fatherhood. But what happens after baby arrives? Well, in this follow-up episode, Dr. Jonica Newby examines the biological changes that occur in men during the first few months of fatherhood. And we see how science is determining whether dads really matter.
Ready? Steady. What do you think it takes to be a good dad? Last time, we met these three men just as they discovered they were about to become fathers.
We're having a baby, we're having a baby.
Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. They're going to like Mr. Potato Head.
I look at it as like a new hobby that's coming around.
We followed them in some pioneering studies.
I'm the hormone doctor in the team.
We saw how fathering abilities may be primed by a sort of male pregnancy. And we left them on the emotional high of becoming a dad. But now they're heading home.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Will their top-of-the-pops aspirations meet the harsh reality of 21st century fatherhood? Today, only 2 out of 3 children will reach 18 with their fathers still at home. It's a paradox at the heart of contemporary fatherhood. At the same time, our expectations of dads are rising exponentially. More and more kids are growing up without them. So with dud dads, divorce and complicated biology all in the mix, can science tell us what makes a good dad?
Video diary. It's Saturday and we have had Jackson home for just under a week.
You know, they've got a department of docs specially set up for daddies who change their food nappies. You can dog me in when you get older.
Now they're home, all our dads are anxious to excel in their new role. Little do they know, that may come at an unexpected cost. 2 months in, they're back at the hospital to find out the results of their hormone tests.
Well, gentlemen, these are your results, and these are the testosterone levels. Now, keep in mind they are preliminary. After the birth of the baby, I think you can see there's definitely a trend down. Well, so, gentlemen, your testosterone has dropped.
That much we revealed last time. But here's what we didn't show you.
I'm actually shocked. Like for me, becoming a dad was like, whoa, I'm Uberman now. So I thought it would have been a major testosterone through the roof.
Well, hate to break it to you, Mark, but if you want to be a good dad, you may have to give up the thing you held so dear as a single man. Permanently. Welcome to Las Vegas, the perfect place to study testosterone.
Come on now, come on, everybody sing. So much of Vegas, I think, really is about status and signaling for men to show off to women.
Good spot for a biologist.
It is.
Professor Peter Gray's interest in testosterone was sparked, naturally enough, by a bird. A dark-eyed junco bird, to be precise.
What was so striking about some of these birds is that you find that male testosterone levels change across the seasons as male behavior changes. That testosterone levels are highest when males are competing with each other, when they're courting females. But once it's time to start caring for offspring, you saw their testosterone levels drop.
So the scientists tried a little test. They injected testosterone into happily nesting junco dads who promptly jumped off the nest, abandoned the kids, and started singing for a new mate. And it's not just juncos. Most North American migratory birds drop the big T, testosterone, when they become dads.
It does support the idea that testosterone has to get out of the way a bit for nurturing to emerge. And that got me thinking this would be fascinating to look at similar issues in people.
Now, there are over 20 studies covering 8 countries and several thousand people, all carefully calibrated and corrected for age, so there's no escaping the truth. Testosterone is highest in single men, it drops in some men upon marriage, and it's definitely down in dads.
Some men might think this is bad news. Does this make me less of a man? No. Well, nature's given us this capacity for males to care for their offspring in ways we just don't see in other apes. That's something to celebrate, really.
Remember, in the animal kingdom, we are unusual. 90% of mammals show absolutely no paternal care. Yet birds make model fathers. The lesson seems to be good dads let their testosterone go with the birds. Fortunately, our dads have risen, or is that fallen, to the testosterone challenge. And they're off to a racing start with the new skills test.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, this is where it can all start to go very wrong.
I would give $1,000 to anybody to get an hour's sleep.
It's taken me 90 minutes to get him to this stage. He's awake. Yeah, and you're supposed to be asleep, mister.
Back when our dads signed on for the Royal Women's Hospital study, the scientists weren't just interested in their hormones.
Hi, I'm Murray Paul Austin. I'm the research psychiatrist.
They've also been tracking the men's psychological states. We've all heard of postnatal depression in women. We're only just realising how often it strikes men.
Up to 10%, so really much more common than any of us realised. Nowadays, because there is often no one else to support the mother and infant, then they are the only support. So not only are they having to be the support team, they're having to go out there and work 12 hours a day often.
It's tough. I mean, it can be long hours and hard work, and we talk on the phone. Well, I talk, he listens. Very good armrest. Oh, we dropped it.
And these days, with extended families no longer the norm, if dad falls over, it matters.
Good night, darling. Love you.
So what we're finding now with some very new studies coming out is that those men who have experienced depression in the early weeks and months have offspring who have greater problems in terms of emotional and behavioural adjustment, and in some cases less language development than might be expected for a child of a similar age.
So if you want to be a good dad, get treatment for depression early.
Okay, so if you're ready for my joke?
Yeah.
2 elephants fell off a cliff. Boom, boom.
So far, our dads appear to be retaining their sense of humour.
What did one snowman say to another snowman?
And no.
I think I can smell carrots.
Though we won't know whether any are secretly falling to the black dog until we get their results later.
What do you call a cow that's eating your lawn?
I don't know.
A lawnmower! Booyah!
But even if they're coping just fine, there's no doubt modern daddom has its moments.
Yes, I've been vomited on in the head, in the ear, in the mouth. That was pleasant.
And as the going gets tough, the tough are increasingly going. 50 years ago, the vast majority of kids grew up with their father in the same home as mum, for better or worse. Now, a third won't. It's a grand experiment on a generational scale, and the results are starting to come in. One of them mind-bogglingly surprising. Meet Jacinta. She's a young mum. In fact, she started everything early. How old were you when you hit puberty?
7 or 9, one of the two. I was really young.
That must have been strange.
It was scary, very scary. It took a while before I even let my mum know.
Oh, even your mum didn't know?
No, I hid it really well.
You hid it from your mum from the age of 7?
Yeah.
Now let's cross to San Francisco to meet this man. Bruce Ellis believes Jacinta's early puberty could be because she didn't have a dad.
There seems to be something special about the role of fathers in girls' lives in regulating how quickly they grow up, when they actually go through puberty, and particularly their risk for early sexual activity in teen pregnancy.
Huh? The idea dads could influence the timing of puberty harks back to a fascinating experiment in the 1960s. A male college student was asked to interview some 12-year-old girls. Unbeknownst to the girls, observers were recording how close they got, how much eye contact they made, how flirty they were.
Girls from father-absent homes sat closer to the male interviewer, talked to him more, and made more eye contact compared to girls from father-present homes. The title of my talk is, Does Father Absence...
Since then, the studies have piled up.
Why are girls growing up faster?
Dad departing before age 5 seems to accelerate puberty. So if you just take the unique contribution of the absent father, how much earlier do the girls come into puberty?
Well, if you just consider father absence in and of itself, it tends to be about a 6-month acceleration.
Goodness. To understand why, we need to visit our animal friends again. These are prairie dogs. Like us, they practice co-parenting. But if Dad is removed, his daughters hit puberty early. And even earlier if a stepdad is introduced.
In many animal studies, there are pheromonal effects where exposure to an unrelated adult male has the effect of accelerating puberty in girls.
Bruce speculates there's something similar going on in people.
When fathers are absent or low investing, it may make adaptive sense for girls to grow up more quickly and not put a lot of energy into finding long-term relationships with a high-investing mate who may not be available.
But even if this theory needs a bit more testing, other impacts of absent dads are rock solid. You only have to look at the numbers. Here at Pennsylvania State University, massive studies going back decades are hunted down and roped together by the master of the dad data, Professor Paul Amato.
Children who experience the divorce of their parents don't do as well, on average, across a wide range of outcomes. Having a greater risk of doing poorly in school, a greater risk of developing conduct or behavior problems, and depression. Now, the children who grow up with 2 continuously married parents have overall about a 10% risk. For divorced families, the risk is 20%. So it means there's a doubling of the risk. Doubling of the risk.
So what is it dads do that mums don't? Who does more of the grunt work?
You do.
Who does more of the playing?
I do.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's one of the things mums most complain about. All dads do is play with the kids. And it's true.
Oi.
Studies show dads spend 80% of the time playing and 20% caring.
Oh.
While with mums, it's 50-50. And it can be seriously annoying.
Okay, here's what happens when it's my turn to put them to bed. I give them their bath, put the pyjamas on, have a little story, and then they go to sleep. And here's what happens when Callum does it. Pillow fights, tickle attacks, running up and down the hallway. Rufus, he would just be holding onto the bars of the cot, jumping up and down, going,
But is all this exactly what's good about Dad? Time for an experiment. Okay, Alex, so you have 5 minutes to entertain your child.
What have you got? Would you rather?
Early childhood educator Robert Benson is recording what the parent does.
Yes.
How verbal or physical they are. She's doing a lot of talking, isn't she?
You're doing a very good job there.
While I'm recording the excitement or arousal of the child.
Oh. You like the ball, do you?
Okay, 5 minutes up. Your time stops now.
3.
Next, Murray.
He's done more than 3 different activities in less than 1 minute.
Much more physical.
Now let's increase the challenge. Bring on the 5-year-old.
Yes! It's almost like as the attention drops, Murray changes up, keeps the attention high.
Yes. Gentle though, gentle.
Yes!
And for good measure, we try some other mums and dads too.
Okay, shall we tell them what we found?
Yes. Well, the women amongst you were much more verbal with the children and stayed quite still, whereas the men, it was more physical stuff, lots of moving around.
What I was measuring was the actual arousal of the children. So this was a typical graph with the woman. The arousal of the child stays round about the same, and in fact, Alex, the arousal was going up because we were playing soccer. You brought it back down. Whereas with the men, I had to add a whole other level of graph. So basically, the women kept the arousal of the child on an equilibrium. The men got the kids all roused up. But far from being a problem, one expert says this is the key to Dad's unique contribution to childhood development.
Yes!
What's up? From the US, he helped us design our little experiment. He's the still playful Professor Ross Parks.
Well, what the dads are doing is they're providing opportunities to experience a wide range of emotional arousal and excitability. It's an opportunity for children to learn about their own emotional regulatory states.
Emotional self-regulation is one of the most important lessons a child has to learn. If they only ever played like mums want, they wouldn't get to practice high arousal situations and how to cope. Dad play is also an opportunity to learn a wide range of facial expressions, how to read other people's emotional states.
It's not just that physical play is important, it's the quality of that physical play that's critical. And it's important that the father back up or jumps in and says, that's enough. We need to slow it down. Because those kinds of lessons are really important. Otherwise, you end up encouraging bullies. You end up encouraging kids that are dysregulated, don't respond to the feedback from their peers, and then the behavior escalates and somebody gets hurt.
Nice theory. But does it translate into real life when the kids leave Dad and go to school? In a series of experiments, Professor Parks found at age 7, kids whose dads were fun to play with were more popular with their peers.
Those kids also, independently, when you show them a series of slides of faces, angry faces, disgust, happy, sad, they do better at recognizing those cues.
He's talking to you. He's talking to you.
Dads also tend to challenge children more, which may help explain why so many studies show involved fathers deliver tangible benefits to how well kids do later in life.
He's a scary robot, isn't he? You look like you want to have another look, though. What do you reckon? Let's try him again.
Which brings us to the social question of our age. Can you be a good dad and a separated one? Well, prior to the 90s, the answer from research overall would have been no. But it seems as a species, we're adapting.
I'm Scott, and this is my beautiful daughter, Angela. I decided to go for 50-50 joint custody, and that was something that was supported by Angela's mother as well. As a man, there have been a few challenges, and you know, it may sound silly, but one of those challenges has been doing Angela's hair.
How's that? Is that all right, sweetie?
While few men take on the hair-raising challenge of 50% custody, there's clearly a generational shift in separated society.
I think I might need some lessons.
Back in the 70s, less than a fifth of separated dads saw the kids at least once a week. By the 2000s, it's ramped up to a third. But that's not the whole story.
When fathers simply saw their children frequently, that didn't necessarily predict positive outcomes on the part of children. In fact, there was very little correlation at all. When we looked at what they did when they were together, then we saw some big effects.
The secret to being a separated superdad is to do the parenting stuff as well as the fun stuff.
When fathers are highly involved in the right way, at least half of that increased risk that children will have some kind of serious problem goes away. So the fathers are really the key in a lot of ways to ensuring that children are protected from the possible risks that could accompany a parental divorce.
You know what to do here. Give it a wheel alignment.
Nearly a year has gone by.
Yeah, take that, you nails.
And the boys are starting to show exciting signs of career aptitude.
I don't think he's worked out that trying to push a rusk up a cat's nose is the best way of bonding.
He could be worse places.
Yes. That's true.
Liam, meanwhile, has discovered a way to see his son and give him a start in the corporate world. The kids are clearly thriving. But how are the dads really coping?
Hi guys. We've got the findings from your psychological scores here, and the most striking finding is the stress scores are up both before and after birth, and they're actually twice as high as for non-dads.
Do they know what causes the increase in stress?
Look, I think it's... What I think's nice, though, I suppose, is that it's already beginning to come down in the first few weeks after birth. And the good news is no evidence that any of you develop postnatal depression.
Fantastic. Mario, you ready for your scan?
Certainly am. Let's do it.
Now for our final test.
Murray, can you hear me okay?
This is the next frontier in dad science. In marmosets, it's been discovered fathers form new connections in key parts of the brain.
Oh, it's lighting up like a Christmas tree now.
Yeah.
While we don't know yet if that's true of humans, we can see this.
Just look at this. This is amazing. The anterior striatum, the amygdala, the cingulate gyrus. These are areas strongly associated with love and positive emotion.
Yeah.
And so...
So we're looking at the love.
We're seeing a man seeing the love.
It's quite moving, really.
It is.
The more we look, the more we discover about what it takes to be a good dad. There are behaviours we can learn, and there's innate biology. We now know how unusual it is that humans have the potential for father care.
We're done.
It's a potential that evolved way back when raising a human child with its big brain became too big a job for one parent alone.
Hey.
Myra, that was excellent.
It's a potential we're watching blossom in front of us.
So Myra, not only does this show that you love your baby, we can actually see you loving your baby.
I think that's amazing. I think they're my little Jackson parts.
And whether it's hormones, genes, or just responsibility for a vulnerable new life, our dads are noticing the odd personal change too.
Even sometimes you now watch some movies and you start to get a bit of on the verge of tears, and you think, no, I can't let the movie make me cry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, well, I tend to keep those things to myself. So, yeah.
It's a case of feeling so much love. You would die 1,000 deaths and then die 1,000 more just to keep him safe.
So the tear ducts have been switched on?
Yeah, well and truly.
Fatherhood in the 21st century is changing. And to meet the challenge, so it seems, are fathers.
Well, that's it for now. If you want to see extended interviews from the Fatherhood special, go to our website. Now, Catalyst has been on air for 10 years. And to celebrate that, we've produced 2 special episodes on science over the last decade, as seen through Catalyst's eyes. Here's a brief preview. We'll kick off with my area of speciality, astrophysics, and in particular, the discipline of cosmology.
I'll be featuring the brain, the amazing and amusing things the last 10 years have taught us about our grey matter.
I'll be reviewing a decade of science about climate change.
I'll be looking at the huge leaps that have been made to overcome human infertility.
And I'll be racing you through 10 years of what we've learned about the history of life and the planet.